Hi, Andy Biggs here from Arizona's 5th Congressional District. Yesterday we voted on the Department of Interior, Environment and Related Agencies Appropriations Act. In other words, giving them the budget to go forward. I'm going to break this up into 2 or 3 videos. The first one I'm going to talk about, however, deals specifically with the restoration of trying to rehabilitate our domestic energy program. And that's one thing that would be very helpful in reducing overall costs for every good and product in the United States of America, which would help the entire economy. So that's one of the reasons I voted for this, because here's what it requires the Secretary of the Interior to do: to resume quarterly onshore oil and gas lease sales. Oil and gas lease sales, federal government gets some money, and it allows oil and gas companies to explore, develop, and extract those important energy resources. Issue 5-year offshore oil and gas leasing programs on time and not with delays. Conduct lease sales in the Central Gulf of Mexico Planning Area, Western Gulf of Mexico Planning Area, and the Alaskan region, and conduct lease sale 262 in the Gulf of Mexico. In other words, we're actually providing these areas where these companies can go in and again explore, develop, and extract these energy resources that we so badly need to run our economy. It prohibits funds to cancel oil and gas leases in ANWR, and it expands access to critical minerals by blocking certain BLM withdrawals in Minnesota and reinstating mineral leases in the Superior National Forest. Now here's the reason that's so important. If we don't allow the extraction of critical minerals in our country, that means we are reliant on other nations for these critical minerals. That's everything, even if you want green new energy stuff, if you want those types of batteries or electric vehicles, your cell phones, whatever it is, they all take critical minerals. And guess what? We are dependent on China. And China's not our friend, they're our economic adversary, and quite frankly, our national security adversary right now. So we need to develop those critical minerals. So that's one reason I voted for this bill. I'll give you the other reasons in the next video. Hi, Andy Biggs here from Arizona's 5th Congressional District, giving you another report on the Department of Interior Appropriations bill that I voted to support last night. Here's another thing that it does that is really important. It attacks the Biden administration imposition of the Green New Deal. And what that does is that's going to help our economy. So here's one of the things it does. It blocks the EPA regulations on light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. Those are basically going to emasculate those types of production vehicles. Blocks the NEPA rules that give agencies broad leeway to incorporate climate change in permitting and include social costs of carbon in permit evaluations. In other words, that kind of Green New Deal program that the Biden administration was intent on putting in place that would actually harm our economy. Blocks funds for the American Climate Corps, which is a climate justice alliance, and eco-grief counseling, if you can believe that. Eco-grief counseling, mercy sakes. So we block funding for that. And prohibits agencies from using the social cost of carbon in cost-benefit analyses. The social cost of carbon doesn't actually get at what, if any, there are real costs in using carbon-based fossil fuels. So that was a good aspect of this bill. This bill also protected access to America's public lands, blocking restrictions on hunting, fishing, and recreational shooting on federal lands. Let me repeat that. Blocking restrictions that the Biden administration had put on using public lands for hunting, fishing, and recreational shooting. It stopped BLM's Conservation Landscape Health Rule to ensure continued access to public lands for grazing, for recreation, and energy development. In other words, the Biden administration was putting constraints on all of that, but we're going to allow Americans to use public lands for grazing, recreation, and energy development. All regulated, of course. We block a regulation that would make it harder for Americans to use traditional ammunition and fishing tackle, and prohibit restrictions on where lead ammunition and fishing tackle can be used. That is the next step of the Biden administration to actually abrogate the Second Amendment, and that is to go after ammunitions. So those are two areas with a lot of detail in I haven't got into, but two areas, again, that we address in the Interior bill, which is why I supported it. I'll give you some more in another video. Andy Biggs here from Arizona's 5th Congressional District. Here's yet another video briefly on why I supported the Department of Interior Appropriations bill last night here. And this is as important as anything. It prohibited funding. In other words, prohibited funding for woke far-left priorities that are going on in the Department of Interior, such as promoting or advancing critical race theory. This is a pernicious theory, and the Biden administration has imposed this, and let's be honest, the Biden-Harris administration has imposed this throughout the entire administration, including the Department of Interior, and we want to put a stop to it. Next thing, we prohibit executive orders on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also eliminate COVID-19 mask or vaccine mandates, and we eliminate housing for illegal aliens in national parks. So for those of you in southern Arizona, you know that in national lands, there are places, there's a squatters camp, for instance, set up down in, and taken care of by an NGO down in southern Arizona. So some of these things are just so critical, and the discretionary funding side of this reduced that portion by $72 million year over year. It's not nearly enough. There are areas of this bill I didn't like, but there were some strong policies here that I felt were necessary to turn the ship around. And so I decided to go for an incremental win here, which I do think this is an incremental win. So if the Senate were to adopt this and Joe Biden were to sign this, there would be an incremental win for the United States of America, and that's why I voted for this. I'll keep you posted on what the Senate does on these bills, but I don't think Chuck Schumer is going to take them up. You need to know that. I'm going to be honest with you all the time. I don't think Chuck Schumer is going to move these forward. I would hope my Republican friends would actually somehow leverage consideration of this bill going forward in the Senate. I'll keep you posted.